Creating good models and good reports in Power BI is hard. It costs time, costs effort, and it can be very complicated. So people are always looking for lists of best practices and rules to follow to try to make this easier. For example, you can work toward creating a star schema in Power BI. That's considered a best practice, and creating a good layout for your report, with the most important information in the top left and the more detailed information in the bottom right. That's also considered a best practice. Now, there are a lot of these best practices and rules that people like to share, and there are tools that let you specify these rules and then automatically check your models and reports or multiple models and reports at once. For example, with a notebook or with other code tools. Now, this can be very useful and very interesting, for example, to find models that have the highest violations and then to help teach or enable those users to help create better models, for example. The problem is that a lot of these rules don't necessarily apply to every situation. Something like creating a star schema or working toward that star schema design, for most scenarios it makes sense. Same with creating that logical layout of your report. But there are a lot of best practices that don't necessarily make a lot of sense for everybody. For example, avoiding calculated columns or calculated tables. That's something that just as a hard reality is not that big of a deal. It only matters if you're going to be doing it in very specific circumstances with models of a particular size. So it doesn't really make sense to apply that rule to everybody. Now, let's look at a specific example. You can check for best practice rule violations in multiple different ways. For example, you could use Tabular Editor, or you could use notebooks now in Fabric. So we have a model here, Space Parts. It's a training model from Tabular Editor. We're using it in a course coming out soon about notebooks for Power BI people. It'll be a free course end-to-end. But this model contains all kinds of issues. It's quite a large model, quite complicated, and there's a lot that's happening in it that's wrong. So we could, using this model health button in the top right, run the best practice analyzer in order to try to find some of these best practice violations and know what could we improve first. Now, in case you don't know what this is, Memory Analyzer, it's essentially similar to the Vertipack Analyzer, where it's going to show you which columns and tables take up the most space so you can reduce the size of your model and thus optimize it. So if we're going to click this, what it's going to do is it's going to automatically create a notebook, and we can use that notebook to run the best practice analyzer. If you don't know what a notebook is, you can have cells that have markdown, so text, or code, and you can run this code either one cell at a time or running everything at once. In this particular example, all we have to do is run the entire notebook to run the best practice analyzer, and it also explains that these are 60 rules that help us be able to improve the design and performance of the model, and that they come from experts from Microsoft and the Fabric community. So what kind of rule violations do we have in this training model? Well, we have rules of varying severity. We have, I think this is a moderate severity, but I'm not clear because there's not a legend. And I think this is a low severity, more a warning and an information or something. So there are a lot of rules that could make sense. For example, measures that have the same definition, which could lead to redundancy. So when we hover, we get this information. But there are other rules, for example, ensure tables have relationships, that don't actually make a lot of sense. For example, if you're going to have a field parameter, or you're going to have a disconnected table that you're using for dynamic measure selection, which is an extremely common reporting requirement, then you're going to have tables that don't have relationships. That's a very common design paradigm that many models use. Same here, we have avoid calculated columns. Now, calculated columns can be problematic, for example, if you're creating them in a very large fact table, but the reality is that calculated columns really aren't that big of a deal, and there are definitely valid use cases where people are creating calculated columns. For instance, self-service users often tend to rely on calculated columns as they are starting to develop models. So it's a very normal and natural thing for people to at first start to create these calculated columns. For example, in this case, to have the workdays month to date so that they can use this on the axis of a chart, for example. And removing this calculated column isn't really going to make that big of a deal when it comes to the performance and the quality of the model. Having this as a best practice violation and focusing on this as a sort of mark of bad quality of the model is honestly a distraction. It's not something that's going to necessarily improve the model for anybody if they invest a lot of time in moving all of these columns into, for example, a data warehouse. It's not like that's going to make the model or the report more useful for anybody. So the problem that we're now facing is we have hundreds of violations, many of which are not necessarily going to be helpful or going to lead to a good use of our time. And if we're going to go through this list and try to address every single one of these things, then it's going to cost us a tremendous amount of time. And it's not going to be evidently clear as to why we're doing some of these changes if we don't see a resulting downstream impact on the quality or the performance of our models and reports. So how can we use a best practice analyzer like this and get more value from it? Well, ideally, we'd be able to customize these rules to our own liking. For example, deciding for our particular model or our particular scenario, our organization, whatever, that there are certain rules that we just don't want to apply, that we want to ignore, or even certain cases. For example, like if this one particular case, we didn't want this to come back over and over again, that we could ignore that case. Now, we might even want to create specific rules tailored to our scenario or our organization that might make more sense. This isn't something we can do in this particular notebook, but that's something that is possible within the best practice analyzer itself. I think what becomes problematic here is this is an official list of default rules from Microsoft, from experts in Microsoft. So my concern here is that these rules are going to be over-extrapolated and applied to a lot of models where it's not necessarily going to make sense. For example, I can definitely anticipate scenarios where organizations are going to run this over many models in their organization, in their tenant, and then use it to restrict people from using certain workspaces that have fabric capacity, for instance. Or to say that you can't do X unless your model doesn't have any violations. And it's going to seem arbitrary to the decentralized teams and the self-service users that have to follow these rules. Because if you just simply need a calculated column or they perceive a need of a calculated column, then it's going to force them to take another more complicated approach to get to their desired result that doesn't necessarily make sense or is just a good use of resources, if I'm honest. So that's kind of the concern here. And the key message is that these rules need to be something that's kind of tailored to your particular scenario. So how can you do that? Well, first of all, let's look at here, we're looking at Tabular Editor. So this is another way that you can run the best practice analyzer. And the reason why I'm showing this is because you can ignore rules in this context. So with Tabular Editor, you can go and you can get a list of best practice rules, for example, from GitHub. There's different rules that you can choose from. I'll choose the standard lax rules. And then we just go in raw, we copy the URL, and then we go in Tabular Editor. And we can then upload, I'll drag this into view here. We can upload rules from a URL. We can paste this in here. And then we have some rules that we can then apply. And we can choose which of these rules we want to keep and which of these rules we don't. So if there are rules that are not relevant to our particular scenario, then we can uncheck them, like revisit to-do expressions, for example, or avoid division or whatever, and we can ignore them and then we can leave them out. So that's already one thing that is useful to do. And the other thing is that here we have unused columns, unused measures. So these are other examples of rules that are not necessarily going to be useful, because if this model is used downstream by other people, then we don't necessarily know what's unused. Just because it's not referenced in a downstream expression doesn't mean that it's unused. But in this case, what we can actually do is that we can ignore the rule, the object, so that we can then remove it from the list, and it's not going to continue to come up as we develop our model. So we can only focus on the rules that are pertinent and relevant to what we're doing. And we can always show those ignored rules back to be able to see them. So this is one way to be able to deal with that scenario, to get more nuance when you're applying these best practice tools, is to ignore the rules that don't apply on a case-by-case basis. But of course, to do so critically, like you shouldn't just ignore the rule just because it's inconvenient, but ignoring the rule because it's not something that's actually going to make sense for the scenario. Now, the other thing that you can do is that you can actually create your own rules. So this is an example from one of the Tabular Editor courses, for instance, that creates a rule, for example, to avoid remove duplicates in Power Query, because this can result in unintentional filtering of data. And it actually contains then a custom expression to identify if it contains table.distinct, for instance. So what we could actually do is we can go in Tabular Editor, and we can then add best practice rules, in this case, from a file. And then I can select that file. And then we see that we have this rule that's being applied. So I'll just press enter. So now we have some additional rules, some custom rules that have been added. For instance, we have the redundant columns. So columns with multiple account names, and avoid remove duplicates in Power Query. And we actually have two cases where that's used. So if we check, for example, we double click, we can see that in the forecast table, for instance, that we do actually have that remove duplicates being used. And you can actually validate this, for example, by right-clicking and going preview data, for instance. And then we can see that here there's obviously data missing. The forecast shouldn't just be 9 tables. So then we can make the change in the Power Query, for instance, save, refresh the table. And then when that refresh is done, we can monitor the refresh from in Tabular Editor then. So when the refresh is done, we can then validate that that's gone. But in the meantime, it automatically updates so that that's gone. We can then move on to the next one to see that this is also done in products. But if that is intentional and that is not something we want to deal with, we can ignore it. So then we're basically tailoring it to make sure that it's going to stay relevant to the actual development task that we're doing. And you can then, to summarize, you can create your own rules, you can customize these rules, and you can specify those expressions. So to review, to summarize, best practices and rules, they can be useful when applied in the right scenario. However, when they are overgeneralized, it can create a problem, especially if you're using these rules to set boundaries and to create restrictions, and especially if there are like centralized teams that are perceiving these rules as official from Microsoft, then it can create this kind of like hard boundary where some, for example, decentralized teams and self-service users are going to have to follow these rules, or people are going to have to follow the rules even when it doesn't make sense. So you should actually try to trim down these rules to the ones that make sense for your situation, for your model, and if necessary, add new rules which can be more helpful for your particular situation. And one way to do that is by modifying the best practice rules file and then using it either in a notebook or in Tabular Editor whenever you're using that best practice analyzer, or in, for example, Tabular Editor, you can ignore rules when they don't apply in a specific circumstance. Otherwise, they're just going to keep coming back. And then it's going to be difficult to focus on the things that you really want to pay attention to. So that's it for now, going a bit off the rails. Now we're coming back. I guess I'll see you next time.